Hey everybody, Robert with RC Archery. Today's video for Full Draw Friday is going to be me shooting an indoor round, just a Vegas round, and I haven't shot for several days. I'm pretty stiff feeling. I'm about to pick the bow up and just start the round, and I'll just let you follow along and kind of go along with me as I progress through the round. I'm also going to be going over some questions that were asked on my Instagram account. I'll pull those up and try to answer them and demonstrate them as best as I can throughout while I'm shooting here and give this a little bit of a educational side as well as just seeing me shoot. So this should mimic a lot of the live feeds that I do on my Instagram account as well. But let's get started. All right guys, so the first question that I'm going to go over is how does your grip affect your arrow flight? So changes in pressures, I'd assume, maybe changes in the type of grip. The type of grip that I talk through and that I coach is basically curling the second, third, and ring finger, or second, third, and pinky fingers rather, into your palm, leaving the index and the thumb here to where you can get it on the bow. That actually helps in a couple things. It's going to keep you from crossing over the lifeline, which is great. We definitely don't want to do that. And then that would, you know, that change in your grip pressure, if you do cross over the lifeline, or if you're too close to your thumb side or too close away from your thumb side, is going to cause you to hit differently on target, just because you're actually torquing and changing the path of the bow. There's some torque tuning that you can do. I recommend that. I do that. I think it's incredibly important to torque tune as well. Done videos about that in the past. You can definitely find them on my Tuesday tip of the week videos here. I'll try to put a link or something in the video up here or down below or something like that so you can see it too. But definitely does help. As far as changing grip pressures as you shoot, that's why I have archers curl their fingers into their palm, because a lot of times you'll move your hand a little bit as you're shooting, and definitely don't want to do that either. First shot in about pretty close to a week now. Definitely stiff. Definitely see a lot of movement in my sight picture. And it'll be like that for a little bit. It'll get better as I'm shooting. My muscles are gonna get warmed up and I'll feel a little bit better that way. Alrighty, next question here is from Tommy. It says, long shots out at 90 meters, my scope housing wants to drop halfway out of my peep. Is it, well, do I move my anchor? Well, when it comes to shooting longer distances, there's a couple things you need to do. One is you need to set your peep height to where, there's a couple theories here. You need to set your peep height to where it's not at 20 yards and maybe not necessarily mid distance. You might want mid sight tape distance. So if you're shooting out to 100 yards or 90 meters, you may be looking at more like 55, 60 yards that you're looking at, or 50 meters. And that's going to be closer to what you're looking at as far as having a comfortable anchor point and not having to stretch out too far. So that's really important. The other one too is just how you're anchoring and what you're doing. This is actually a tip that I got from watching maybe in a live feed from John Dudley. And what I do in the way that I'm setting it up right now is actually shoot my peep sight in. So the height that I want my peep to be at 20 yards, I'm shooting that in right now without a peep. And once I get that done and get my scope and everything set up to be aligned the right way for me, I'm actually just leaving that as is and allowing myself to shoot comfortably with a comfortable anchor position, and it's keeping my mouth closed and my hand in the right spot. What I like to do is I like to take the bone of my knuckle here and I put it right at the bottom outer edge of my jaw, so a little bit out. So it's a pretty high anchor point. That's just what feels best for me as far as executing my shots. I guess I can move this around. I'll show you my anchor point better. When you start to move at longer distances, what I'm doing and what I got from Dudley is adjusting your mouth. So I'm here, and then as I'm shooting and I get out to those longer distances, I allow my mouth to relax. So instead of it being closed and kind of firm, I'll let it open along that line. And I just do it based off of what I need as far as the way that I'm anchoring, the way that I'm shooting, and what's going on at the moment. And that's helping me a lot because it maintains your same anchor feel, but you're essentially moving your hand down your face, so it's lowering the peep a little bit versus what you're seeing with your scope and what you're doing at the moment. So it's definitely something that I've found that helps a lot. It's more comfortable for me. The biggest thing that I think is cool that I've heard as far as anchor points and things go is the most important part of your anchor point is just whatever's going to be comfortable and repeatable, but help you keep your pin, or not your pin, your scope rather, in your peep aligned. And that's what matters when it comes to your anchor point. You don't have to have like the touching of the face, the nose, and the string, and all that stuff. I mean, that helps a lot, and I think that's important to do as well. But as far as, do I think it's absolutely necessary? No. Honestly, my hand could be completely away from my face as long as my scope and my peep are lined up perfectly shot to shot. I'm going to hit the exact same point of impact. The other parts of it are becoming more repeatable based off of your shooting and what you're doing, and that's what helps a lot. Jammin' Whipple asks, what are some tips for shooting 60 yards and over? For me, when you start shooting out longer distances, I don't know, I'm kind of weird. I like shooting longer distances. It calms me down. I actually shoot more calm and I have a better sight picture. My body's actual movement and the float and everything is a lot less at longer distances because I don't see the target as well. So it helps me some. But I would say more than anything is just remaining calm. Don't let yourself get worked up because you're at a longer distance. A lot of people will start to over aim. They'll start to worry. Something will be going on because they think that they're at this longer distance and it's so much harder or something's going on. It's really not. It's just shooting your bow. It's the same as always. Shoot it as often as you can. Balance the bow. Find what works for you best. That's a big one too. And just go with what works. I can shoot. I like to have a balance of my bow to where it requires me to hold the bow up just a little bit, but not so much that if I shoot up, uphill, downhill, or anything like that, it's severely out of balance. It's just personal preference for me. I also think the thing now is don't lean back when you shoot, but if you set your body up for a certain distance to be level, and then you go to a longer distance or even a really tall target or a really low target, you're gonna have to move. You're gonna have to lean yourself back, lean yourself forward. Don't be afraid to do that. Keep your body in that T position, but use your waist as your pivot point and lean back or forwards. And a lot of the times what I do is I build a little bit of extra lean back if I need to in my draw, if I'm not sure like what height that I need to be when I come out to anchor, so that when I get to full draw, I can lean forward at the waist just a little bit if I need to. For an uphill target or a high target, or even when you're getting out of distances where you're having to lean back a little bit more. I think on my second shot I missed. If it was scoring, I'd have let down because I didn't come out in the middle of the target right. It didn't feel good, but trying to save time on a video and shoot and do what I'm doing. It just kind of is what it is right now, I guess, for me. I don't know, I caught a 10. Hey, I'll take it. I'm glad that I'm in an area with this new super focus to where if I miss and make a bad shot, I'm missing like this. I'm still catching a 10 line, I like that. Axis_OF. My pin is getting stuck just to the left of the 10 ring. Any tips? Oh, that's actually good timing. Okay. So I believe in natural points of aim. And what I mean by that is setting yourself up to where your body, if it is, you're gonna have movement and drift, but I wanna set myself up left and right with my stance the way that I open and close my body to put me naturally in the middle of a target. I do this based off a principle of drift, not off of, drawing the bow with your eyes closed and getting on target. I don't think that works. I think that's inefficient. Your body drifts and it moves as you're shooting your shot and as you're going through execution, especially if you have a long hold. So if you can eliminate that, then you actually shoot better. So for me, what I like to do is use a neutrally open stance where my front foot's big toe is at the base of my back foot's big toe. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you're staggered a little bit. So for me, I think that works best as far as your body and the way that it looks to begin with. And then what I do from there is I adjust that by rocking back and forth on my heels, and that opens and closes your hips, and then your hips open and close your shoulders, and that moves you left and right on target. It's a principle that I've gone over in some of my instructional videos that I sell, and also, obviously with my coaching too. That's a huge one. And if you're ended up, left of the target like that, you're probably too open. and it's just putting you left. You may be too close and you're pushing yourself left, but that's something that I would definitely look into and check out. Nope, did miss that one. Talk about that miss when I get down there. That was a big one. There we go. My tendencies to miss are low, and it's because, one, like I talked about before, the stabilizer balancing that I use is to help hold my bow up a little bit at full draw. But two, if I don't induce enough tension into my system, meaning creating it at anchor where I pull back and push forward just a little bit, then I drop low. And I dropped low pretty bad on my first shot. I mean, it was a little bit more than just losing pressure. That's what I did. All right. Mike Wood, seem to be drawing and aiming left constantly. Think it might be my draw length. It could be your draw length, but it's probably what we were talking about before. It's probably your feet. Your feet control your draw length though, because it controls your natural body's draw length. Basically what it means is if I'm here, I have one draw length. If I open myself, you can see that my arm moves this way. It actually shortens your body's draw length. So it could be something like that. Whitaker Dylan, every time I miss a 10 on a 3 spot, it's a low left. I am left-handed. Am I collapsing? You were getting this as a lefty. This is me as a righty, low right. And it's probably, yeah, you're probably right. It's the collapsing part of it. I'm really bad about doing that myself. So make sure you're building up enough tension to begin with in your shot. If your front stabilizer system is not weighted enough towards the front, then you may need to weight your front bar a little bit more, either by adding weight and changing your ratios, maybe taking some weight off the back bar, or just lowering your back bar down so it takes some of the leverage off of the back of the bow, because the back bar, when it comes off the back of the bow, goes out to a certain length. As you lower it, it takes away the overall effective length, so it helps take away some of its leverage, so you're good that way. I'm going to answer one more really quick, pull these arrows and then we'll go up. It says shooting in the rain and preparing for it. I don't shoot in the rain much. I like to shoot indoors. 10, 10, okay. But when you shoot in the rain, you want to make sure that you can have a towel with you to wipe off your hands. Obviously, if you need to, you may need grip tape on a target bow. Try to keep your releases as dry as possible. Your lens, keep some compressed air with you, or keep a little popper, or that's what I call them, popper, but it's like a little plastic tube you can push on it, poofs air out. That helps too, because you may need to clean your lens or your clarifier verifier off in your peep sight, so that's a big one too. That water gets on there and it can mess up your vision, so keep that in mind. If it's raining really bad, you may need to change your point of impacts because with your sight, because your string is going to get really heavy when it's soaking up rain, and it can cause you to just start missing low because it's slowing your string path down, so keep that in mind too. But yeah, if you are going to be encountering shooting in rain, especially in targets, or in tournaments rather, try to shoot it in practice so that you can understand what your bow is going to do based on certain scenarios. But as far as what I do, I try to avoid it. If I can't avoid it, then I just try to adapt as quickly as possible. I think that's really important. If you can adapt quicker than the next guy, then you'll do better at the end of the tournament based on your scoring. All right, another question here is thoughts on V-bar versus sidebar. Does it depend on the archer? I think it depends on your shooting style. If you're somebody that doesn't impart a lot of tension in the bow system itself, you may like a V-bar better because you just want overall balance on the bow. If you're someone like myself, I put a lot of tension in the bow. I don't want the V-bar because I want the sidebar to move left just a little bit. Not extreme, but I want to be able to put my grip into the bow and not have it push, you know, the top of the bow to the right, run the bubble to the left. I want it to still be in the middle, but I want to be able to have a little bit of tension there. I feel like having a direction for your energy and a little bit of added tension like that is going to help you keep more consistent. It's probably going to help your float and everything a little bit better in my opinion, but so while I'm not extremely active in my shot at all, I do build the tension up to begin with instead of pulling through constantly during my shot. I just build it up at the beginning of it and then work through the shot that way. That one felt good. It's probably the best one. I think that's shot number, well, what am I on here? That was shot number 13, so starting to get warm finally. Definitely good to come back after a bad end and do well. Helps the self-confidence a lot. All right. Archery moto, do you adjust the internal spring tension on the Hamskea? I have not. I found that it works okay for me with the setup that I'm running right now. The internal spring tension system adjusts per weight, basically like you would adjust a blade angle on a blade rest when it wasn't, you know, a drop away rest, to accept different weights of arrows. So I personally have not had to. I haven't seen an issue with that running skinny arrows that are lighter, or even I had some really light 23 diameter arrows for a while for 3D and I didn't have anything to worry about on that, versus like these 26s that are pretty heavy for indoor. What I have noticed is that taking the backer off helped my tune and what I was doing on both setups, and just running the metal blade. Or what I've noticed that helps even more is actually using the new Teflon blade that Hamskea has out right now. To me, I think that works the best out of all of them. It's tapered. It's a little bit thinner at the front versus at the base. And honestly, I think, in my opinion anyways, that's the best feel that I've had shooting, period. I think that works the best. So I'll give you a look of it here. It's that blade right there. I think that works the best. And then I just work on tension in the cable. Too hard on the tension in the cable, I've noticed it creates some up and down variances, almost like you're torque tuning. Not torque tuning, I'm sorry, creep tuning, but you're not. So keep that in mind. Don't overdo it. Drifted a little left right before the shot broke. I'll be honest, guys, I am shooting probably better right now than I ever have in my entire life. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Super Focus. I think that's just an amazing bow, the platform of it, the D-Flex riser. It's calmed me down a lot, and I think that's helping me with my shooting because I just have more confidence. I don't move as much, I don't float as much. I just have more confidence in what I'm doing. So it seems to be working pretty well. Definitely no complaints with what I'm doing here. Did get off a little to the left there. I missed the X, but I got a 10 still, so I mean, I'm not going to Neems and I'm not that big into it all. I just need 10s, so I want X's. I want a 30X round, but it'll come when it's time. All right, let me pull up these questions. I'm getting towards the end of these, so it's going to end up being just more of me shooting probably while I finish out this round. Stuff Sawyer sees is every once in a while I'll shoot high left groups at long distances. Why is that? If you're shooting groups rather at high left at long distances, you're doing something wrong consistently, which is good because that's probably just one thing that we need to fix. My experience with that is usually at long distances, you're moving your hand too far down on your face, so you're already pulling down a little bit. So as you execute, since you're pulling down, you just pop down and it throws it up there that way. It could also be face pressure with your string. So if you're, depending on what you're doing with your face and where you have the string on your face and things going on like that, if it's pushing too far into you and your nose is pushing down on it especially, it's gonna make that shot hit high left too. So I definitely check that out. Really big on face pressure and what's going on. I'm gonna talk more about this in a Tuesday tip of the week video, but when I anchor, I make sure that my hand is vertical enough, not being super vertical, but vertical enough to where I'm very light on the pressure with my index. For me, that works because if I get too deep on the index, I start digging the string into my face. So that's something that I look for whenever I'm shooting. Hun3067 asks, what's your favorite tournament? The one that I win. Not really. Yeah, kinda. I like a lot of I don't go to a lot of tournaments, but I like a lot of the tournaments that I go to. And it's simply for the fact that I'm choosing to go to them. It's not a job for me. It's just something that I do for a hobby. And I'm lucky in that. So I just enjoy going to the ones that I choose and the reasons that I choose them. I like to do the Texas Indoor Series, the Shoot Your Way Across Texas. They call it SIWAT. That's all 5-spot, which I really wish they had a Vegas league, but I enjoy it. You get to meet a lot of people, you get to talk to a lot of people, and I just think that's fun. I was really nervous when I first started going to tournaments and very kept to myself, and a lot of that's my personality. If I'm sort of nervous, I talk nonstop. If I'm really nervous, I shut down. And I mean, part of going to these tournaments is to have fun and enjoy what you're doing. And if you can do that by way of meeting people, talking to them, getting to know different personalities, getting to know different bows, setups, what people are doing, I think that's fun. And I enjoy that. Another one that I really enjoy, a love-hate relationship with this one, but it's Archery Abroad Online. It's an online shoot through Facebook. There's an archery group there. It's very transparent. You can't cheat, can't do anything bad on it. So that's one reason that I do love it. It's also really good practice for nerves, because I actually get nervous more so shooting that than I do going to a tournament. And which I think a lot of that is because it's just online, it's on a camera, and you're not really in the vibe of what you're doing with other people. I think that plays a big factor into it. When you're with other people and you're all shooting and it's just like a collective thing, it's, I don't know, you're kind of like a brotherhood at that point. So I think that helps. There's also more people to look at. You don't, like, I know people are staring at me on the video versus I may mess up at a tournament. They may or may not see that kind of thing. But I really do like that one. I like the Shoot Your Way Across Texas Indoor Series. And I mean, there's gonna be more that I like over time, but that's the two that pop out to me right now. Felt awful, that whole end. Archery is such a not thinking sport. I tend to overthink things as I shoot rounds, and I think that's my downfall. I tried something new on that one. On my first shot, I actually tried holding the release pressure a little bit different on my index with my hinge, and it didn't work very well for me. I didn't like it. I don't know, it just didn't seem like it worked well. I tried a couple different things on the next two, but it's practice, so I enjoy doing a little bit different here and there, just to see how it works. That way I know how it feels in pressure situations at a tournament, all that fun stuff. 8 ends, I got 2 more. All right, guys. Last question here is MDS599. It's trying to transition from hinge to thumb button. How do I avoid tendency to punch? If you're having tendencies to punch your release, don't shoot a thumb button. That's my advice on that. It'll be the worst thing you ever do. It's gonna be a frustrating process. It's gonna be something that's not fun. I don't shoot a thumb very often. I do every now and again because the allure of shooting a thumb release comes back, because some of my shots are just so stupidly effortless and right down the middle. But then some of my shots are way off, way more consistent with the hinge. So my advice is if you think you're gonna be punchy with the release, don't shoot it. Let me shoot this end, and then I'll give you some more advice as far as just shooting a thumb release and trying to avoid getting to a point to where you get kind of jumpy and punchy on them. When it comes to the thumb button, you want to make sure that you have enough pressure on the button to begin with, that you're comfortable setting your thumb on it and not having the release just prematurely want to fire. If you don't, you can get off and on with the tensions on the thumb, and that becomes dangerous, and it becomes hard for you to shoot with much consistency. And it'll cause you problems. So that's a big one that I would say, just the adjustment of it and then how you're using it. I don't think most people need to be really active with their thumb at all. You need to find a method of shooting to where you can relax the hand without the thumb, or where you just continually pull, or my preference on what I'm doing is shooting it the same way I shoot my hinge, where I hold all my tension in my shoulders and my back and try to keep the bow as still as possible while it's floating around and not control the shot at all. Just be really calm in your aim and really calm in your shot and try to shut your mind off and just think float. And after a while, your arm here is going to start to relax because you're focusing, holding with your shoulders and your back. And when that arm relaxes, the hand will relax a little bit, and then that'll help trigger the shot too. Personally, think that's the best way to shoot one. Personally, I think that's the best way to shoot any release as far as, a hinge or a thumb button. All right, one more end. And then I'll be good. So one of the things that I'm doing with this is fun for Full Draw Friday. It gives me an ability to be able to shoot on camera with y'all. Because a lot of people are wanting to just see me shooting, and for me, I can't help but not talk. I have to talk whenever I'm shooting. As far as doing these videos, because I want to give helpful tips, but this is also a good way to kind of train me and get me ready for shooting on camera for those archery abroad tournaments, because I have one coming up that I'll be shooting for pretty soon, and this is just good practice for me to do it too. All right, guys, it's kind of a long video. If you've stuck around this long, depending on how I edit this, it's gonna be a long video from shooting and talking both, and appreciate you sticking around. I'm gonna run it down to the end of the target here, and I'm gonna score everything really quick just for my own benefit and sake of what I'm doing, but hopefully these help. They're fun. You can get what you want out of them. You can shut me up from talking if you don't want to listen to me talk, or you can hear me talk and shoot. I wish I could have got a 300 for you on camera here. Just wasn't in the cards. Sorry about that, guys. But we'll see how we got here. 1, 2. We got a 299 20X. So I need to keep shooting. I want to shoot some consistent 300s, especially on camera, so that y'all can see them. But not a bad day. Appreciate y'all watching again. Hope to see y'all soon.